Alright guys, Spider here for Next Gen Tactics and NGTZombies. Sorry, it's been a long wait, but finally we have part 2, the Nazi zombie story, the evolution of a new game mode. And where we left off in part 1, and the link will be there for you guys, is that Jesse went off for the weekend to prototype Zombie Nazis. It wasn't originally called Nazi Zombies, it was Zombie Nazis. So he took actually a building from the Russian campaign, so it's not the first building that we've seen in Noctur on Toten. He took it from the Russian campaigns, some scary looking building. He put boards up with some lighting effects, and he just used some basic animations that they had already built into the game World at War for dazing guys. They were actually meleeing through the boards instead of ripping them off the building. And there were buyable doors. There was a door that you had to buy to unlock the flamethrower, a couch you could buy to get upstairs, which is similar to what we see in World at War, and also weapons on the wall that you could buy to get into further rounds. So, I mean, really all it was a prototype designed to get people interested in and to get backing from the rest of the people at Treyarch. So, after the weekend, he came back and showed it around, and people liked it. He got a better reaction than he was anticipating, and people could see, even based on the limited scripts that he was writing, people could see the potential that it had. So at the time, at least for a week, they were going to work on that bunker defense prototype as well as this zombie Nazis prototype. But after the week, they cut the bunker thing, and there's only one programmer, Austin Kraus. So he eventually got shifted over to work on the zombie Nazis prototype. So, and they were they were knee deep getting World at War, finished. So they were like, their bosses were like, well, you guys, yeah, we want to do it. Can you work weekends? Can you work on the weekends? And they were already working 12-hour days during the week, plus still doing stuff on the weekends for the main game. But then they continued working on the prototype for Zombie Nazis on the weekends as well. So some of the first things that they were looking for, or that they fixed, was the tearing down and the buying back of the boards. So they first did it all in one shot, where you could go and buy back all the boards on the windows all in one shot, and then they changed it to basically the individual boards. So they got those animations and that mechanic of the gameplay working, which is great. And then finally, Jimmy Zielinski, who is obviously core to the zombies nowadays, he finally got around, and this is right from Jesse Snyder's blog post, finally got around to playing the prototype, and he was very, very excited. And obviously, those are the kind of guys you want working on the project, and you want long term, which we've seen him. Jimmy's obviously working and being a lead guy on the zombies. He's a lead animator. And he started working with the guys and basically said, hey, we're going to have a meeting with all our animators, and we can have a brainstorming session and come up, give me a list of what kind of animations you want, and they'll do it. So at the same time, they had this dude who plays a zombie at Universal City Walk. I have no idea what that is. It's like a Universal Studios thing, and apparently maybe they have zombies walk around. I don't know, but there's this guy that plays a zombie, so they actually prototyped some of the animations off of this guy as well. So it was cool. And one of the things that they did, or a couple things that they did with the zombies, they charged some zombies. So you'll see, regular zombie-looking guys with the glowy eyes, but then you'll see like the dirty black charred zombies. So it just adds a little bit of variety to the zombies. One other thing that wasn't even intentional was that the headshots, like the gibbing was always there. They improved upon the gibbing, and that's what I really liked about World at War. And I'm not sure why they totally went away from it. Even in the multiplayer World at War, you had guys with their limbs being blown off. I mean, you get blown up by a bouncing Betty, you're losing a leg or an arm at the very least, and there's a lot of blood and gore. So they took that over to zombies, and they improved upon it. One of the things that actually came out was the headshot gibbing that they added, and it wasn't even intentional. that sometimes when you got a headshot, the zombie would just keep coming. Like it wouldn't, they wouldn't die. So that wasn't intentional, but they loved it so much they kept it in there. The only thing they changed is that, I mean, in the full game, is that the zombies after a few seconds they'll die, whereas originally with that headshot, their head would pop off and they would just keep running around forever and ever until you shot them. But they actually modified it so that the zombie will go down after a certain period of time. So it was in and around this time that they actually decided to use a different building. They went with one of the buildings from the Pacific campaign, which is actually part of the multiplayer map airfield. So they used the building in the far back area, close to the, I think it's the offensive spawn in Search and Destroy on World at War airfield. And they used that building. They prototyped it. They basically removed all the area around the building. They blocked off the entrances. They created, I think they created a couple new windows. And the area around the building they changed up for effect. And that was the map. That was the map that eventually became Nocturne. So the next thing to come up, the next idea was what they called the magic chest, and originally Snyder was calling it the Mario Kart box, which may or may not be appropriate. But all the guys at Treyarch were calling it the magic chest. We called it the weapon box, whatever the hell you want to call it. They implemented that at a start, and to combine with the weapons on the wall, they do have that one. Chest, or not chest, what is it? It's a cabinet upstairs on Nocturne with the sniper rifle. So they implemented that, but then it was the magic chest. I mean, they wanted some randomness to it. They wanted to keep it interesting and, keep it somewhat strategic. So they have the weapon box. You'd get random weapons, and I guess the guys at Treyarch love going to the box and seeing what weapon they get. So it definitely was something that obviously is a core element in zombies nowadays. So again, these guys were working their butts off in their spare time. They had, it was pretty well functioning, but it had a lot of issues. It had a lot of glitches. The game was unbalanced. At the time, the first round was 30 zombies, and it was really, really slow. And I remember when Nocturne was originally released and before it got patched, it was very slow. I think there was only one zombie on round one, and it was very, very slow. And I mean, it even is a little bit slow. I mean, once you get beyond round 10 or so, it speeds up. But, it was obviously a lot slower than that. The main game was pulling a lot of their time over, and they actually thought this was the whole project was going to get cut. It was they were trying to get the game going, the campaign, the multiplayer. They're having issues, and everything just got pushed off. And NGTZombies, as it was now called, almost hit the cutting board. I mean, it was very, very close. And thankfully for everybody, it didn't happen that way. So thankfully, the management at Treyarch actually assigned a lead scripter, Mike Denny, dedicated to NGTZombies. And this guy, I mean, he wrote a bunch of scripts to just polish everything, Like the couch. When you buy the couch, it's sort of, there's an animation where it goes up into the ceiling, whereas it would just disappear before. And they also made the game a little bit more difficult earlier on in the progress of the game. You'd actually get to level 35, no problem. They wanted to, it would be somewhat difficult to get to level 10 or to round 10, but then round 20 is sort of, you make one mistake and you're pretty much dead. And we all know, I mean, we can run circles for, round 100 plus, but still, I mean, for the regular player, and especially when it first came out, I mean, you were pretty damn lucky to get to round 20. The last thing sort of to come out of it, and this was about a week or two before they had to submit this for certification for final, this is the product. We all know there are day one patches, etc., but the game has to be submitted at some point to say, okay, this is pretty much done. And that was before they had power-ups. The power-ups where the max ammo, the double points, the insta-kill, and the nuke, right? So there are 4 power-ups, and he wanted to, and there was actually some people that didn't want it, but Jesse actually went and wrote the scripts for these 4 power-ups and added them into the game. a week or two before it was supposed to be submitted. So by this time, pretty much everybody in the offices at Treyarch were playing the crap out of Nazi zombies, discussing strategies, boasting about what round they got to, how they got to those rounds, and they were actually finding a lot of bugs and exploits. Now, one of the last things to come out of the development was the ray gun, and it's kind of an interesting story because the name of the guy that showed, basically prototyped the ray gun, was this the weapon artist Max Porter. Max Porter, get it, Porter? Upgrade ray gun, Porter's ray gun. And he did it just as a fun project, and he showed Jesse, and Jesse loved it. And they basically incorporated it into the game. And obviously, there's a whole story behind it where eventually, where we discover that it's like a wonder weapon, element 115, blah, blah, blah. But we'll get into that in the actual storyline of the game. But again, he just showed it, and then it was a bunch of people. A lot of people came in at the end of the project and just worked their asses off to improve things. I mean, one of the exploits with the ray gun actually was that if you would go down, it would automatically give you max ammo in your ray gun. So you'd get guys, they're playing co-op. They'd have one guy at the front, at the bottom of the stairs or something, standing there just shooting the crap out of the zombies, and when he runs out of ammo, just downs himself, and then the other guys revive him, and all of a sudden he has max ammo again. So they obviously fixed that going out the door. But there were other exploits in various maps that you could employ. But that was cool. I mean, that was pretty much it. They got the game out the door, and the rest is, as they say, history. When they first released the game, I think you actually had to complete the campaign, if I wasn't mistaken, or if I'm not mistaken, to unlock the zombie mode, Noctur Untoten. Later, it was patched so that you could play it at any time, and it was patched so that it was a little bit more difficult because people were finding it too easy, and it was still too slow at the beginning. But and that's it. And Jesse, awesome story. Again, Haxington Post. Go and check out the full blog post that he made over there so many years ago. I think it was on the day of the release of World at War, and it's an interesting read. And I think I've covered everything here, and I hope I've done it justice. But we're going to get into the actual storyline. We're going to start with Noctur Untoten. Obviously, there are schools of thought that the storyline really didn't start with Noctur Untoten. But for our purposes, we're going to look at each map in order and just look at various aspects of it and go from there. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll try to be more consistent. It's not going to be 2 months before the first video comes out for Noctur Untoten. I'll tell you guys that right now. But thanks a lot, Jesse. Good luck over at 343 Industries. Looking forward to seeing what you produce over there with Halo 4. And Jimmy Zielinski, looking forward to what you have upcoming for Black Ops 2. And we'll get this stuff done. We'll get the storyline straight before Black Ops 2 releases. And we'll cover everything, and hopefully in a lot of detail. And we'll see what happens on release. Black Ops 2, baby. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Spider, and I'm out.